my experience with acupuncture to treat migraine, and would I try it again? Okay then, so acupuncture. First of all, a bit about acupuncture. It's over 2,000 years old. It's been around for a very long time. It's originally a form of ancient Chinese medicine. It's based on the concept of qi that flows through your body, and the idea is that the needles we use to add or remove the qi to create balance in your body. The modern understanding is that it has physiological effects on our bodies. So the needles create micro injuries. Now these micro injuries increase blood flow to the points that they went in, and this promotes healing at that site there. They can also lead to changes in the levels of some neurotransmitters as well. So there's definitely something going on, there's definitely something happening to the body when acupuncture is used on it. Various studies have shown that acupuncture can have positive effects on people who suffer from chronic pain. So why did I give it a go? For years, I just hadn't given it a thought, hadn't even given it a second thought. I just didn't know enough about it really, until people started to recommend it to me. I did some of my own research and I just thought, oh, you know what? I think I should give this a go. This was 5 years ago, but I think I've remembered all of the important points from when I tried it, but yeah, half a decade ago. So why I thought I would give it a go is that it's very safe. There's hardly any known side effects with it at all, as long as you go to a proper licensed practitioner. And there is evidence of effectiveness with episodic migraines and with people who've suffered from chronic pain. And there's also been studies to show that the effectiveness of acupuncture can be in line with the effectiveness of some oral medication that can be taken, preventatives for migraines that can be taken. Even if it's just a placebo effect, there's still evidence that it is having some sort of positive impact on people's lives. Even if you don't get a pain benefit from acupuncture, there's still also evidence that it can help with your sleep, with anxiety, with muscle tightness. So as far as I saw it, I just thought there's a lot of potential positives to come out of this, so I'll give it a go. Okay, so how did I try it? Well, first of all, I inquired with my headache specialist on the NHS, and in the area that I live, acupuncture as a treatment for chronic migraine is not available on the NHS, so I had to go private. So I went to a local clinic with a licensed practitioner, did my research, made sure that they were a legitimate operation. They completely were. So I went along, I had my initial consultation. A few things I wasn't expecting. So she looked at my tongue and took my pulse to figure out what type of treatment I should have. I don't know how that works, but it's a thing. And then when it actually started, I was just expecting my head just to be bristling with needles because of the amount that I've talked about with my chronic migraine and how much it affected me. Turns out I just had a few needles go sort of around my eyes and temporal regions. I think I had a needle there and a needle there, and I really wasn't expecting that. And what I was expecting even less were needles that went into my hands and also needles that went into my feet, especially on my big toe. So I wasn't expecting that, very unusual, but that's where we have these nerve endings, that's where we have these pressure points in our bodies. And I just went with it. I thought, right, I'm just going to completely go with it. So yeah, that first initial consultation was much longer, sort of trying to figure out what treatment to have, and then I did actually have a treatment on that first consultation. So Following consultations, it was basically I turned up and the needles were put in, and it was really relaxing. I think on some occasions I did actually fall asleep during the treatment. During the treatment itself, it's very relaxing. The needles go in, they don't really hurt at all. Sometimes I had this weird sensation where the needle would go in and I'd almost get an explosion of a pain-like sensation, very briefly, sort of travelling along my nerves, which kind of makes sense if they're going to pressure points. But after that, it was fine. I really can't describe the sensation. It's like almost like a numbness that you can feel. I know that doesn't make any sense at all, but that is the only way I can think of describing it. So these needles would go in, I would lie there having these weird sensations at the points of the needles, or sometimes I did not even feel the needles go in at all. Sometimes I didn't even feel like they were there at all. That could happen sometimes. And during the actual treatment itself, it did help with pain. A couple of times I did go with a migraine and it helped with the migraine pain. It was incredibly relaxing. And then I found that the following day often was quite good as well in terms of how I felt and how my body was affected by migraine. So in terms of the length of the treatment that I had, to start with, I went once or twice a week for about 3 or 4 weeks. I'm struggling to remember here. It might have just been once a week for 3 or 4 weeks. I'm sure I remember going more than once on a couple of occasions. However, after that, it went to about once per month for about 6 months. That's how long I went for. And in terms of the impact it had on me, sort of in that medium term, I suppose you could call it, 6 months, it was quite negligible. During the sessions themselves, as I said, positive impact. The day after, positive impact. Overall, not that really big impact that I was hoping for. I knew it wouldn't be life-changing. I knew it wouldn't cure them. I was just hoping for a little bit more. And eventually I did stop, and I had to stop purely because of the cost. I was going private. It was costing too much for a benefit that wasn't justified by the cost I was putting in. Maybe I had to go for longer, maybe I had to go more often, but at the time I couldn't afford to do that. We were talking about £35 per session every session, and I know that since then acupuncture sessions and treatments have only gone up. So in 2020 they are more expensive than they used to be. So having said that, if I ever did find myself in a position where I did have that level of disposable income, I would definitely try it again. But what I would do is I would go at least once a week, try and go twice a week, every week for about 6 months. And then I would make sure to go twice a month rather than once a month, because I did feel like something was happening, but I just couldn't afford it. And the impact, the benefits didn't justify the cost at the time. But I think if I had the money to put that investment in, I think maybe it's something that could benefit me because of the other positive impacts it had as well. It's very relaxing and it helped release muscle tension in my neck as well. Because when I suffer from a migraine, I get really bad neck pain quite often. 9 times out of 10 I get really bad neck pain. So the reason I think this is that the general idea, from what I understand, is that the more severe your condition, the longer it will take and the less effect that the treatment will have. So if you have 1 or 2 migraines a month, acupuncture treatment is probably going to be quite effective for you. But with me, with chronic migraine, probably less so. But it is a treatment that doesn't involve taking lots of drugs that affect your body. So I think that is, again, a big positive with it. And that's why I would definitely give it a go again. It's just that cost. If you can get it on the NHS, if you can speak to a headache specialist and you're in an area where you can get it on the NHS, do some research, find out. I would definitely try and get it on the NHS if you can. And if you can afford it, I would highly recommend, again, getting acupuncture privately. So to conclude, there is something to it. I definitely think that. I do wish there was more clinical peer-reviewed research that could really definitively answer the effectiveness of acupuncture as a treatment. That would help a lot. And if we had more conclusive answers, then I'd perhaps be more willing to part with my money. So please leave any information or questions in the comments below. Until next time, thanks for watching.